There is an African new friend is in Nigeria uh, who asked me how to concretize his dreams. In fact, I have not answered him because I did not know what to say. So I've been thinking about is it realizing his dreams or is it creating his dream? So I don't understand how what he wants me to say, how he can concretize his dreams. So can you help with this?
Yes. In other words, I get things that are a little perplexing to me too, I'll be honest here, and that is, hey, I don't have all the answers. Realistically, I don't want to carry all the answers. It's not about having the answers. Just say something that makes sense, because the simpler it is, the better it is. And that is that, and I don't always know the meaning to people's dreams because, like a psychologist, you really have to get into the person's personal area. That's like them asking me, what does the inside of my car look like? It's like, I don't know what the inside of your car looks like, and I don't even want to take the time to know. The thing being is that, so when people ask you a question about this or that, I simply, if, in other words, he's showing he wants to do certain things with his dreams. And so what I would do is work along those lines. It's like, okay, so you want to do this or that. Well, it's like, okay, go for it. You see, through that process, through doing something, creating the activity, that individual is going to learn. And so now that you have the knowledge, see, this is the key right here. Paul called it the key to secret worlds. Okay, that's a cute idea, and that's what it was at the time. But now you know about the isness, you see? So even though you may not know what the isness is, by the very fact that I've brought this out, and the boys stand real with it, and all life backs it, that isness is a reality available for you, so that's what you pivot off of. So yes, but in the meantime, to get yourself around, because you've got to go like roundabout. You can't really go direct, and Paul talked about this too. In other words, it's like if we want to become a doctor, we just don't open a doctor's office. Okay, it's like, okay, I want to be a doctor today. Today I'll just go open a doctor's office and I'll just tell everybody I'm a doctor. Well, it doesn't work like that. You have to go roundabout. You have to, get your education going. You have to go through whatever it is, college courses and then medical school, whatever. You don't go just directly being a doctor. You've got to do all this stuff to finally be the doctor. Well, now that you know about the isness, this is the cool part. And then, so from that position, how you decide to recognize it, at the same time with your personal self, you decide to do something, if it's right, or look at your dreams, etc. The dream area, which is really the real side, okay, things being exposed on the real side, but we call them dreams. And this is where it kind of misnomers things. In other words, yeah, people go, oh, I follow my dreams, but at the same time, oh, it's just a dream, it meant nothing. Well, realistically, it is like yesterday's newspaper as soon as it's passed, because life always is. So whatever you did, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's a puff of smoke, really, because the isness always is. This is what's so cool when you understand that. But in the meantime, your personal self, to survive here and through creation, you want to know certain things. So you go along certain avenues, and so you ask something like, okay, well, where can I find a job or whatever? So these ideas are giving you hints, or maybe sometimes it's specifically you're told certain things, etc. But you also want to realize that what you're getting is secondary. It is not the actuality, and this is where, as we look at history and all that's taken place, just like the miracles of Jesus, or somebody had a dream, or etc., and they brought it forward. etc. This is a secondary thing because in creation, it's still not the isness life is. So yes, while this is the relationship with this isness. This is your real awareness, and at the same time, learn to be objective about yourself. So again, when you're asked certain things about people's dreams or what have you, yes, back them up. What I do is you might say elevate them and say, yeah, go forward with this. Write down your dreams, get to know them. Hey, for the most part, it's like learning a new language. You're not going to just know it. And the dream area, because it's a reflection of the whole of life in its own way, well, this is endless. So, but this is an adventure. You see, make it fun, because it's like kids. It's like, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I want to go on this ride or whatever. Remember when you were a kid and you just did things and your parents said, well, little Billy, do you want to do this or that? And you go, yeah, I want to do that. And you didn't know what it was all the time. It's like, oh, gee, that sounds fun, Dad. Yeah, let's do it. Well, the same way with the dream area now, as the individual is, in their own way wanting to recognize the whole of life, but at least they know that the isness is more so than the restrictions of creation and the gods of man, you see, because it's like the sun shining. It's a pure position where there are no restrictions. So at least hold to that. And you might say, 1 foot is, in the real universes and 1 foot is in creation, and so you're working between the two, you might say. And so whatever comes, comes. And eventually, you know what? You will start to see it and you'll start to figure it out. But you've got to create your journey somewhere. So, with these people that come forward, it's not that you're going to have, again, we're taught in the literal sense. It's not a literal answer. And sometimes you just say something like, when they make a statement, I see, as people approach me and ask a question or something, sometimes I'll just say, okay, yeah, you know what you're doing. And really, I'm just confirming what they're already deciding. And they've already decided. It's like, well, should I do this? The question can be, should I look at my dreams and figure them out? And then I might say something like, okay, and that's it. It's like, see, you've already answered your own question. And so, as these people do approach, again, if they have the possibility to read the new book or something, that helps, whatever helps, send them a PDF, or in some way, can they go on the internet, because we have this today, as this is totally cool that we have this, and this access to so many things. Or can they even, maybe they can't read it on their little cell phone, but maybe they can they can download an app to where they can listen to one of the talks and get some ideas, and little by little put it together. But at the same time, this is what I'm saying about getting out in the public and whatever, because as you create the adventure, you start meeting other people, and things start to come, and answers start to come too, through other individuals. When I'm in the groups here, or listening to others or whatever, all of a sudden ideas come in about creating another group. I just simply listen, and it's like, oh, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's a cool idea. I'm going to make a group like that, or I'm going to do that. These little spot things that I make, these groups in Facebook, and put up some images, etc. So it's the adventure of life altogether. So their dreams and this passing dream here, whatever, we kind of label these things in a particular way so that the individual can learn to see the difference between this isness and creation, instead of pushing it all together. But actually, all life is an isness, including creation. But you need to separate it, just like the steps that we go through, etc. So again, as people ask for these things, you support them in some particular way. In other words, motivate them to continue on, and yes, go discover that. But they've really got to find their own answers, and you just give them something to motivate them, and they will. They will. It will show up. But it's going to show up as a recognition. That's the cool part, because that's your real awareness, because you're always now. This is where we actually don't move anywhere. This isness is so cool. And so when you recognize the fullness of this isness, guess what? It's still endless. There's no conclusion to it. That's the best part, is there's no conclusion to it. So you can give up the concluding idea of it, and at the same time explore, and at the same time utilize what you do recognize, and see how you can, you might say, nourish the personal self so that it can better survive and get on with this adventure, you see? And eventually you can stand real with the boys. That's the best part. It's not like, oh, I want to be a master, I want to. It's about, look, take the time to recognize it, stand real with it, and again, it's an isness. You know, it's not about labels, it's an isness. Life already is. I can't say it enough. But I cannot give the recognition, and the boys cannot give me the recognition. They can demonstrate certain things to me that trigger that recognition. And so, but the individual must do something to trigger that recognition. If you don't, if you just stay self-convinced, then you don't. And so, again, it's a choice. But, you know, again, supporting that individual. But don't worry about always having the so-called right answer. That's not it. It's not in a literal sense. It's an adventure. You know, when Christopher Columbus took off, you know, across the sea, you know, there he didn't follow some white line. It's not like in the movie The Wizard of Oz, follow the yellow brick road. That sounds cool, but it's not like that, is it? Life's bigger. So I know that's a lot, but anyhow, I have fun with this, and that is that, you know, as one starts to approach that area, you know what, it's endless. It's like the sky. And it's so cool that you can, you know, you're on your adventure now, but you already know about the isness, and so you start to compare the two, and again, the sun is the best example. And for me, in the personal self, the easiest thing for the personal imagination, because imagination is just in creation, there is no imagination in the real universe, is because it's an isness. Life is already complete. Why would you need imagination? But here, I use the sun as an example all the time. You know, I do that to offset a lot of these little things that start to come in and bug me. I just like, oh, I'll just be like the sun. You know, that's just easy for me. You know, that's an easy thing for the personal self as it takes on what it does here and has to deal with what it does. Yeah, it's a little easy thing that I just grab, you know. It's like a little snack in the afternoon. Yeah, and so again, you decide how your life's going to be, and again, support these people. And I see you because you are an educator, Charles, and you're more into the literal side of things. So, yeah, there is no right answer. You might say the reality life is recognition. That's what it is. But right answer, right or wrong, or what is the best thing, etc. When it comes to these areas, you know, I would say the best thing is to support the individual for what they are deciding and kind of move it along from there and give them hints so that they can kind of figure it out themselves. So they're motivated to continue on. It's that motivation. You motivate people to discover themselves, and this is what I see with the people that step up here and how awesome they are. You know, and just like Sam here and what he's done as an example, and you know, translated the books, etc. And he stepped up to do this, and you know, from another country across the world, and it's you know, and look where he is today. And I see his heart, and I see how he recognized it, and it's not in the literal sense. He sees the variables. You see, we have that literal part, but Sam sees the variables. I see that in him. And I see that in Ava too. She's come through the literal self, and she still has that part. I see that. But she also recognizes the variables, and it's fun to watch this. And Kelsey and Chris and whatever. They're recognizing the variables and not just the literal part where we want answers to things. And you know what's so cool is even when you get the answer, that's not the answer. It's really not. Because it's nothing you can consider. It's even better than that. So what is it? Well, that's the part you decide to recognize. Yeah. Go ahead, Charles.
But then, in fact, we may not categorize the new knowledge as a philosophy or anything like that. Uh, but in fact, if some of the people who don't want to listen to the new presentation, they just think it's a kind of funny teaching, which deviated from the religious point of view or anything like that. But if they come nearer to listen to you, in fact, those who have done philosophy or metaphysics, they will be trying to they'll say, hey, this stuff is something we've never heard. It has some elements of what they are doing and teaching out there. So one of our tasks should be to bring, I don't want to call it the new philosophy, to the general public, to make it even appear in academic circles. Yeah, so it could be a primer for people to start recognizing that, oh, there is some other view to life other than what they have known. So I think it's a task for uh, many new students to bring this to the mainstream of life, because we cannot just keep it uh, within the community. And while we could find some creative means to bring this thought, I don't want whether it's thoughts or what, out there, so that people should be acquainted with them, and it would start influencing their lives and making drawing so many people uh, towards the new presentation unconsciously even, you see. So it is it's a big task for for us to make this teaching mainstream, because what you say can be taught in the highest levels of any university as a philosophy course, and it will not even be philosophy, you see. So this is the task we have. Do we just keep all this within the new community, just without letting others know in another way what it is all about? So that is what I'm trying to figure out, you see, to find a way to bring this true knowledge of the all is out there in a kind of way that will appeal to those who are intellectually inclined. Yeah. It's a I don't know how to go about it, but I will just try what I can. And your your talks are a great booster. They give a lot of direction on what to do about this. That is why I listen very keenly, because I have a goal, and that's it.
Yes, Charles. Another reference is just like when we were young. Well, we have the internet today, which is cool, which is a lot better. But it's like when I went to high school and you went to high school and your education. Okay, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have all this access. And so there's a good side and a bad side to technology, be it anyhow we use the so-called good side. But what did you have to do when you had to do certain homework assignments? you had to go to the library and look through all these boring books and study and whatever. But many times, where did you go first in the library? You went to the reference section, didn't you? And see, there is a reference section in the library referring to all the other categories, you see? And so when I looked at this, I did the best I can at the time, and I didn't want what I was to be presenting to be a category. It's like, oh, you're spiritual, you're religious, you're political, you're a Democrat, you're whatever, okay? Just like what we have in the world. Oh, you're an American, you're a South American, you're an Indian, you're whatever, okay? See, categories. All right, fine, we have categories. But then people just look at these categories and that's all they see, because again, it's a literal thing, one-to-one. It's a one-dimensional category. Well, this is what I like. This is why I created the new presentation. It was, of course, with the NU, and it was a new word. And when people think about it, when I say the new presentation, they're thinking NEW, which it's that too. It's new, but it's the real new. It's the new you, and that is that all it can be. I looked at it, it's like, you know what, all this can be is a presentation. It cannot be a category, all right? Paul started off there because, again, he was the babysitter. You need to say, okay, this is school one here, and this is where we start off. So, okay, that's what it was. But now, with the isness, there can be no category. So it's like, figure it out. That's the real position. So people will say, well, it's a philosophy, or it's this, or it doesn't even exist at all. It's a bunch of baloney. Well, again, you want to think that you've just created your road. Okay, that's it. You've just X'd it out. And the reality of life is already, but you have to recognize it. So you got to figure it out. And so just like when you go to the library and you go to the reference section, it's like, what am I looking for here? And many times people go to the library and they don't know what they're looking for. So they go to the reference section and they start looking to see, oh, gee, maybe I'll get a hint here. You see? And so what is a reference? It is a hint, isn't it? See, it's right there. And so I would say that, hey, I got lucky, all right? And I picked what I see as the best reference to basically a literalized, militarized society that we have, because again, the literalized intellectuals of this world, they agree to being one-dimensional for the most part, and this is what the Cabal has set up, the one world order, so that people stay one-dimensionalized, and so they go through this life, they grow old, and they forget, and they come back and to be the slave again. That's the whole idea. So I created a position as a reference that you got to figure out. And so from that reference point, what is it that you want? Okay? So let's discuss that. So, just give me an idea. Just say whatever you want. Oh, I want to find God or whatever. Okay, well, we can find the gods, all right? I'll tell you where they are. I'm sure the Kalam God's home right now. You can call him up if you want. Sing the new you. And if you need a little help, ask Reba Zartars, and he'll take you to the Kalam God. You want to go meet him? Go meet him. See? We're the best reference around. Yes, and we have customer service now, too. And customer service will tell you the same thing. It's like, hello, this customer service, I know how to wake you up, again. So it's like, not like, what can we do for you? It's like, I know how to wake you up. So again, we are the best reference around in creation. So people need that reference. So this is so cool. So that's another idea. Just like the reference, there's a reference in the library. And so that is us. We are the best reference. And so, yes, we are not a matter of fact. Okay, so you're going to have to put in the time to do your homework to figure us out. And you're just going to have to play catch up, because we just keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny. So you're just going to have to keep going. You're going to have to figure us out, or you don't. And a lot of people just go, oh, they're nothing. They're just, or Duane just created this or whatever. It's like, no, we're the best reference to the isness life is. And good luck figuring that one out, And so the boys, too, they have fun with all this also. And that is that, Life is big. All of a sudden it got a lot bigger. It's not what you think it is. So we're right on, Charles. And so the challenge with yourself or anybody is, will you step up and create other references to this reality according to however you are relating to others to where you're at, you see? So I'm providing the overall opportunity and the real guides are there, etc. So again, we are the best reference to this reality and not pointing people to ideas that are self-limiting and restricting, like the gods of man and all these other cute little ideas that have been created, divine this, divine that, and whatever, etc., sacred this, sacred that, etc., all restricting. See, we're not doing that, are we? No, we're wonderful. So reference, reference, reference. That's us. We are simply a reference, and like a puff of smoke, you got to figure us out, or you don't.